today we have what, when I think of casting directors, I always see a top 10 list. And this name is always on that list. She is a wonderful woman that I met, oh gosh, I don't know, several years ago. And she's so real, so from the heart. She has cast projects like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, It Came from Outer Space, Wilfred. She is Dori Zuckerman. Dori Zuckerman!
Hey, David Zimmerman.
How are you?
Good. You could be my brother. I have a brother named David, and our last names are very similar.
It's a good name, David.
He says too.
And Z. I love, it starts with Z.
We got the Z.
I can't wait till we can go out to dinner again and have a burger or something.
I know. I miss Hugo's.
I know. I do too. So, I was like reading up on you and I knew stuff, but I didn't even know you grew up in the Bay Area.
Yeah. I'm from the Bay Area. And both my brother and I, when we were 10 and 8, started going to the American Conservatory Theater and the Young Conservatory. We were studying acting.
Right.
We were part of the first group of Young Conservatory people at ACT. And we were there for about 7 years. And it's fun to see people that we grew up with. One runs an improv group. There's ones that are successful actors, became film executives. And, the people I watched across the street that were in the conservatory at the time were like Denzel Washington and Michael Lerner and Harry Hamlin and Robert Donat and, really just magnificent actors. So when I became a casting director, I went out of my way to call in these actors I grew up watching on stage, and they became friends and I got to hire them. So, full circle.
Full circle. It's fun to, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Mateo. And
that's where my cousins were, yeah.
Yeah, and I went to San Francisco State, and then I went to the Summer Congress at ACT, so I loved it there.
When were you there?
Well, I didn't go. I went in 91 to ACT.
Yeah, we were there in the 70s. We took the Greyhound bus. It was before BART.
The Greyhound bus. I remember. I did that once to Reno, and that was it.
Yeah.
I like the train. Taking the train.
Never did the train.
Oh. Now, I also read, going back just a little, that you were actually born on the stage.
Yeah, literally. I was under my mother's hoop skirt in Pirates of the Penzance. My parents were the founders of the Diablo Light Opera Company that now is called Diablo. I don't know what they renamed it, but they are the biggest light opera company in the Bay Area. In Walnut Creek, they built the theater, but they used to perform at one of the high school's stages. That's where it started, and then they built the stage, and then it got rebuilt, and it's this beautiful building now, and with professional everything about it. So it was like literally we grew up on the stage. Me and my brother and my sister, we were all born during different shows, but I was the only one that interrupted my mother during the second act, which she still holds against me.
Oh no. No,
my whole life she held it against me.
Oh my God. What I pictured? Did you see that? What was that film where the mother's washing dishes and all of a sudden the baby drops out? I forgot what comedy that was.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I can imagine she's like singing a song and you come on out.
Yeah, it's like at least I waited for intermission to start,
And I guess she didn't go up for the second act.
So,
I love that. I
yeah.
love that, to be born on stage. Now, when did you actually realize that I'm not going to act, I'm going to cast?
I got a lot of performing scholarships from high school. I was always the one that, I got the leads. In high school, I kind of was starting to flip over to dance and directing. So you know, I literally got the dance department. They turned over their department to me in my senior year because the dance teacher took off a year. And so I got to put on the show. And I really liked that, but I never was confident enough to be, I didn't like acting. It made me too nervous. I was on the debate team. Me and Adam Schiff were on the debate team together, so there was that intimidation starting right then and there. And I went to college and for it. And then when I transferred down to Cal State Northridge,
Yeah.
I realized I didn't have that gene. I didn't have that angst. I didn't have that drive to be in front of the camera or on stage. I wanted to be behind it. I wanted to help others get up on stage or get in front of the camera.
Right.
So I learned production, and then my first real job was at William Morris, and I was an agent's assistant, and then I became a publicist.
Right.
A actor's babysitter. That's what they are. And then I got into casting, and I really liked it because I got to be around people that I admired, and I could see their process in front of the camera. They weren't nervous. They loved it. And I didn't have that. So I knew my thing was to help actors, not be one.
Right. Now, but don't you think it's good to have some kind of nerves or something?
Yeah, but excited nerves instead of I want to kill myself nerves.
Right.
Right. So there's a different kind of excitement. I did not, I took, when I came down to LA, I took some acting classes. I didn't get the whole let the liquid run through your arms and feel like a tree, and all of that stuff just sounded ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just could not adopt the process of being an actor. So it was like, let everybody adopt what they need to adopt, and I'll see if they're good enough.
Thank God for us, because you became a casting director, and that is your glow,
Yeah. It's a kind of a thankless profession because nobody wanted us. We didn't become a union. We couldn't even become a union. The only people that wanted us so we could have health insurance was the Teamsters, and that was so we became Teamsters along with drivers and location managers. Producers, the producer guild thought that we're managers. Directors Guild didn't think we should, that we were. It's weird. Out of all the jobs on film and TV, casting from the people above casting just don't see it as vital as it is. They, that's why you see a lot of directors and actors thanking, the directors for putting in the show, and it's like, they didn't know who you were before I pushed them on you, do you? So, we're all a little bitter, which helps, but it's a hard business. It's actors appreciate it, I guess, in the moment and afterwards, whatever. And I'm not looking for like, oh my God, thank you very much, but there's a certain the fact that we don't even have a category in the Oscars is
that never made sense to me.
Yeah.
And
the head of the Academy now, David Rubin, is a casting director. So maybe that'll change. Who knows?
Maybe. Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem though that, let's say, when actors don't get the role, they blame, it's like, oh, the casting director and this and that. But ultimately, as we know, the casting director doesn't have the final say.
Yeah, most of the time we do not have the final say. Sometimes they'll trust you enough to just put a couple of people in front of you, but it's your job to see as many people as possible to kind of help the director and producers see a different way to possibly go when it comes to ethnicities and disabilities, to see, you know what, this role doesn't have to be white man 40,
Mm-hmm.
you know, unless he has to be a gymnast. You know, it's just, you can change roles to female, you know. So casting, it's if you've been around long enough,
Yeah.
you're more confident and more able to steer people the other way. There's so many, you know, coming up new, you just do what you're told. But once you've been around for years, you're able to have more influence as to the casting. So
Right.
there's that.
Well, we have, you know, I could keep on just hanging out with you, but we have a few students here. I think, oh, do we have six? We have 6 students from Performing Arts Studio West, and they have some questions to ask.
Hi, guys.
Yes, we have Jode Garsha, we have Zuli, we have Nick Brode, and then we have Raquel Chavez and Matthew Payne. And gosh, let's see. Shanti. Shanti's there. So everyone, Dori Zuckerman.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
You too.
You too.
Let's see. I'm trying to get everybody's video working here. Let's see, Matthew, I'm gonna get you, and then Nick, I'm gonna get you to start your video, and then we'll all be on. There we go. So we have some questions here. We could start with Ashante asking Dori Zuckerman.
What was it like being the only girl in the family?
The only girl where? I couldn't hear you.
What was it like being the only girl in your family?
Oh, in the family? I actually have a younger sister that wants nothing to do with show business, and she's 9 years younger. So luckily I wasn't. But, I was the oldest, which I think is the hardest. It's hard. It's really hard to be the oldest because you're first with everything. And then the second sibling gets half the amount of helicoptering from parents. And then the third one is like, you know, you're on your own. So
Right.
I think it's harder. Are you the only girl?
No, I'm the oldest of 5.
Yeah, well, see, we're the same. We're the oldest. They did everything to us.
I like that question. And I like these, like, you know, what's your favorite food? Kind of thing. Ice cream. Zuli Johnson.
Yes, I have a question. What is your first to cast your cat? What is first to cast your carriers in casting?
Now, I know what you're saying because I know you told it to me before. We have a little shaky connection there, but the question was, what is your process for casting a character?
Well, you first have to read the script, and then you send the script to breakdown services, and they break down the character, and then you go over it with the writer or director and just say, okay, this is what they think the age is. Can we open it up, or do we tighten it up? Can it be male or female? Can it be any ethnicity? You know, what are the perimeters of a character. And a lot of times when I read a script at this point, every time I read a script, someone's voice will pop into my head as a prototype. So that helps. But yeah, you try to keep it as wide as possible.
Mm.
Thank you.
What was one of your most proudest casting jobs that you've done?
Well, I've just this past year, I've done 2 documentaries on Pretty Woman, because that's was my first job. And the casting director, I came in as the associate, and she ended up leaving before we started filming, and there was only 5 roles cast. So I was casting 100 more roles, like between takes. I would show up on the set with about 4 or 5 actors, and between takes, me and Gary Marshall would audition them in the bushes. We would turn around for action, and then everyone would cross the street, and during Pretty Woman, blah, 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 cut. All right, next. And someone would audition, and then we'd figure out who to send to wardrobe, because that's how Pretty Woman was made. We just did it as it was day to day. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh my God. God, that's an amazing story. Yeah, and it's such a classic film.
Yeah, so they've done 2 documentaries, one on Reel's channel, and then I just did one for the Netflix special on Pretty Woman.
Right.
And because Pretty Woman, that people have heard all the stories, we really didn't have a script when we started either. So we just never knew what was needed. Gary would go, I think we need a senator tomorrow. I'm like, alrighty. So I'd have to call agents at night and find out who was available and get them to a trailer in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, Raquel Chavez.
Hi.
I
I had a question. How did you start to be a casting director?
my first experience in casting, I was in college, and I did an internship at MTM Studios, Mary Tyler Moore Studios on Radford. It's now CBS Radford. And I got to work in the casting office for Hill Street Blues, the Bob Newhart Show, Remington Steele, and St. Elsewhere. You guys are all too young to remember any of them. And except David. David remembers them all.
Every single one, and
every single one of them. And and I would just see the process of what was going on, and then I went back to college, and then a few years later, one of the assistants, Debbie Borowski, became a casting director, and she called me and she says, do you want to talk to me about being my assistant on a new CBS show called Frank's Place with Tim Reed? And Hugh Wilson created it. And I said, yeah. So that was my first casting job, and I really loved it. It's so fascinating to see these actors come in, and you get to help actors instead of worrying about being one.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Jode Garsha.
Hi. My question is, out of all the cast, all the projects you worked on, which one inspired you, and which one would you say is your best work?
Probably my last series, Wilfred, with Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Because I basically I could only pay anyone's scale, so I couldn't really. I had to rely on the parts being good enough, and getting some really big names. I got Robin Williams and Rutger Hauer. Wow, I'm just naming dead people right now. Rutger Hauer and I can't even think of all the people, but it was Mary Steenburgen. it was a really fun show to work on because the scripts were really challenging and they were open for any kind of person. Plus, my brother was the showrunner, so it was easy to shorthand with him when, you know, because I'm his big sister, so I could argue with him when behind the closed door. But we really were on the same page because he grew up going to ACT. We both had the same background, so we both had it was the most fun. And
wow, it must be so nice to have your brother in the same industry and so close.
Yeah, I actually got him into the business, and he's done much better than I have. But you know, he co-created Family Guy, so yes, that's my brother. So you know, he's a very good writer.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is always entertaining.
And I bet you see some of your family in Family Guy sometimes.
Well, actually, he put my ex-sister-in-law's parents, they were cartoons. They became two characters on an episode of Family Guy. It was very cute.
Oh, that's cool.
Does he
Our
still
parents are dead
do
now,
it?
so it doesn't matter.
Does he still do it? Like in the part of his job creating stuff for Family Guy? Like is that actually?
No, he just did the first couple of seasons, but his name is on it forever. When it says developed by, it says Seth MacFarlane and David Zuckerman. That's my brother.
Okay.
Wait, what's the difference between a co-writer and then a regular writer?
Well, the way TV and film are different. So on a TV show, the executive producer and showrunner is usually the showrunner, who is usually the head writer. And then you have all the other writers under you. And they, before the season starts, they decide what every episode's going to be about. And each writer is assigned an episode. And then the showrunner takes the script and rewrites it so it comes from the same voice every time. So, and in feature films, it's the first person who wrote the script. Someone can like Pretty Woman. J.F. Lawton gets the credit for writing it. Literally, I think there's less than 10 lines that he wrote in the original script, still in that script.
Wow.
Wow. I remember when I had my one line on Meet the Fockers, that they went through many different screenwriters.
Yeah, film is like, you never really know who wrote the film.
Yeah. Yeah. Matthew Payne.
Hey. Yes. Do you think that casting directors are more open to people with various handicaps now?
I think they always were, and it's something that that they have to talk producers through, because a lot of them worry about timing or if there's a certain movement. I did a CBS show. I can't remember what it was called, but they hired off a tape this actress who had a disability with walking. I did not realize they were going to shoot her in heels walking down pebblestones, which she was not going to be able to do. And they went, why did we do this? And it's like, well, then shoot it differently.
Oh.
She was the best one for the role, so shoot it differently. So you don't get the shot of the high heels, or get someone else wearing the high heels, shoot from the waist down, and then cut it. So I think people are more, I think they're more willing at this point. Right now, being a white male or or female in perfect perfect condition, nobody's looking for. They're looking for diversity right now in almost everything that's out there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the gates are really opening right now. It feels like, at least.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Broad, Nick Broad.
Are there different types of casting directors? Do they have specialties?
Well, not to sound snobby, but reality TV casting directors, we don't really consider casting directors. They don't get to cross over as much as they'd like to. Some people are just TV. I've never done film. I was lucky. I just did both TV and film.
Yeah.
And it was depending on working someone. I did a series with the South Park guys called That's My Bush. And it was a sitcom of George Bush family in the White House that always had a hidden meaning in it. And then 9/11 happened and the show was canceled immediately.
Oh.
It was like, I saw everyone on the show said, oh, 9/11, we're in shock. And then we all went, we're also out of a job. But
yeah,
but a lot of people, some are strictly feature. I guess you can. It depends who calls you. We get called for jobs.
Well, what do you prefer? Do you prefer film or TV or both? Or
it depends on who the bosses are.
Yeah. Do
I want to work with them for 6 months, or do I want to just get this over with in 5 weeks?
Yeah.
For feature.
Yeah.
Can you tell I'm old and bitter at this point?
No. Oh, I'll throw this question out. What do you tell an actor who's just moving to LA?
Go home. Go back. Do you have a return ticket? Is it round trip? It's so crazy here because it's impossible to get an agent. It's impossible. I have actor friends who have more credits than most who can't get agents or managers that are at a different level than where they should be. It might be because of their age or whatever, but it's really, really difficult. In the old days, it was a lot easier. It's gotten much harder in the last, since everything became on computer and you put yourself on tape, this and that, whatever. There's more of everything. There's, which is good and bad news. There's YouTube. There's Instagram. There's all these places that they're doing shows other than just TV and film, which is where I started. So, well, people are creating their own content, which then there are people sitting in agencies and studios watching all these shows, and people are getting series off of their YouTube channel. So, the good news and bad news.
Yeah. I went to one of the, when they were showing a film at SAG, and Edward Norton was there. And one of the questions was about how do you get an agent? And he said, the craziest thing, I'm Edward Norton. I had a really good friend who's a great actor, and my agent wouldn't take him. So exactly what you say. It's like even people who are working a lot can't even get people in the door. Yeah.
Well, agents have become very, very lazy. They used to come to your office. You used to have to walk around with 8x10s. They would come to your office and throw all these pictures on your desk and say, this one can do this, this one's this, you need to meet this one, la, 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 la. No one does that anymore. It's all email and texts. Nobody picks up the phone and pitches. It's a completely different animal.
So you prefer the online, when people come in to audition for you, you don't really prefer
but that's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
It's all going to be online. So now what are they doing? There's all these classes on how to do self tapes and light the room and use their equipment, and that's
Right.
basically how auditioning. I know a lot of casting directors say, I will never meet an actor again in person.
Yeah.
And thank God we'll never have to worry about handshaking anymore. I never really liked handshaking.
Yeah.
And people might think that's rude, but you shake one person's hand who just dropped off their sick child at garden, and then you're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that used to be a question too about, a lot of people would go up and shake your hand. It's like, no, you could be nice, but you don't have to go up and kiss them. Bahara. Oh, 1 second, Joe. Let's do Bahara.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. We have time for a couple more.
Hi, David.
Hi, Bahara.
Becoming a casting director, what are the steps to become one?
Oh,
Missed the last part. What?
Oh, you said becoming a casting director. I know Bahara's very interested in becoming a casting director. So what would you suggest for her? I know that we had mentioned about what are the steps to become one.
Yeah, well, getting into casting is becoming as hard as anything as well, because casting directors need experienced assistants. But the best thing is trying to get an assistant job, which will require you to be able to operate, to really know computers and know the programs that are attached to breakdown services and all the recording and uploading of the videos and putting them on the link for the producers and setting up auditions. And now everything's just done on the computer. So you really have to know all the programs before you even get near a casting office. And then, and that's where you start as an assistant and learning all the gritty paperwork before you get to sit in the room and cast.
You know what I really miss? I mean, not that I cast a lot, just a few things, but whether I cast or whether I act or whatever I'm doing, I like connecting with people.
It's going to be a different thing, because a lot of people are much better in the room than they are on a video.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
We're all new world.
The whole new world. Sing it, David. Sing it.
La 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 la. Everybody. No.
A whole new world.
Whole new world.
I hope we don't have to pay Disney now. Uh-oh.
Did you sing more than 8 notes?
No, so we're good.
I have another question, David.
Sure, I want to be sure. Did everybody get their first question yet?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, Shante.
With the pandemic going on right now, how is the casting? Like, how are you guys working with the pandemic right now?
The few shows that are going on are being cast all online. People are you get submitted online by your agents, or you can join. The one thing you can do for yourself if you don't have an agent is join Actors Access from Breakdown Services, and then you will see the breakdowns that casting allows Actors Access to see as well. And then you could submit online just like anybody else. It won't matter whether you have an agent or not. Also, Backstage West, I would keep an eye on too for roles.
Yeah.
But everything's going to be submitted online.
And you know what's good actually about everyone here is everyone here has an agent at Performing Arts Studio West, which is great. And
Awesome.
Everybody gets submitted.
David, I have not really a question. I feel like people have to be more optimistic about this pandemic and and I know that things are gonna get better. It's not gonna get. It's not gonna go backwards. So maybe it might take a year or two, but I think we'll be back shaking people's hands, and slowly go back to
Yeah.
everyone, in the same room.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe with less people, but
well, and I look forward to the hugs.
Yeah, I miss the hugs. I miss the hugs a lot.
Yeah.
Weird to see people you love and you're just going like this.
And it was like, I know, right? You got to hug the computer, right? So, what is your joy in life?
Oh.
Oh, bacon butt.
Did you say bacon butt?
Yeah, that's his last name.
I guess he's not Jewish. Well, I think that's it. Is that good for everyone? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. And Dori, thank you so much.
Thank you, David. It was wonderful meeting you all.
Thank you, Dori.
Good meeting
Thank you,
too.
Dory.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few years we will be able to shake hands. I might be still wearing gloves just because I don't want to get sick, so I don't have to stay home and miss a day of work.
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise, it'll be great to see everybody.
Yeah. It was, thank you for taking the time to answer all our questions.
Oh, my pleasure. And good luck, everyone, and keep doing what you're doing, and enjoy it. It can happen.